So on my mission, I was in my second area. It was the Sunday of general conference, and so we wanted to go out and teach, and we were super excited because we got all this revelation, and we just wanted to help our investigators. And that day it was raining, and it was raining really hard. And at the area that we were in the mountains, and so one of the houses that we had to go to was up this muddy just muddy hill, and in this muddy hill there was glass, there was a whole bunch of trash in there. And so of course me and my companion, we needed to teach our investigator, but right before that the investigators that we had just taught got into a huge fight. And so it was one of those weird Sundays where we were like, whoa, what's going on today? And so we ended up we went on to the next appointment. We weren't even able to finish that lesson that we had with our investigators that got into a fight. And so we ended up going to Sister Rosita's house, and I'm a really clumsy person, so that I had already fallen before that, but this time we were walking down this hill with all this trash and metal and glass in it, and I fell. And I got up really quick, and my companion turned around, she's my trainer, and she's this little Filipina thing. She's like, "Sister, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I'm like, "Oh, but my hand is sore." And I bring up my hand, and I have this cut where I can kind of just see white, which is, I don't think that was normal. And then all of a sudden I show it to my companion, my trainer. I'm like, "Sister, I don't know what happened." And she looks at me, she's like, "Sister," and she starts crying, and I'm like, "Okay, so what do we do now?" And she starts calling the mission president's wife, and I'm just sitting there, and now my hand is bleeding and my arm is filled with blood. And I'm kind of just looking around, and my investigator comes out, because it happened right in front of her house, and she comes out and she brings us into her house, and I'm sitting on her bed, and they're trying to like figure out what they're going to do with my hand. Then all of a sudden, in the Philippines, so they have these things called alcohol. Well, they have alcohol there to like wash your hands and stuff and to disinfect things. And I was sitting on this bed with my hand bleeding, and they were just trying to cover it up and stop the bleeding. And I see this big thing of alcohol that's like huge, and that's when I lost it. And I was like, "Oh no, I might die in the Philippines today." And so they bring this alcohol over, and they start pouring it on my hand. And initially, when you have an open cut and you think alcohol, you think burning and pain. But for some reason, I started crying, anticipating the pain, but I didn't feel any pain at all. And that's when I knew it was deep enough that we needed to go to the hospital. And so we ended up going to the hospital, which was an experience in and of itself, because we had to hike out of this muddy area and then go up these like stairs. It was 200 stairs, and our investigator wanted to come because I fell down on her property and she felt bad. And she's this 80-year-old woman has asthma problems, and so she's trying to go up all these stairs with us. She's dying. I'm losing a lot of blood, and my companion's just trying to call a taxi at the top of the hill. And so my Sister Rosita is coughing, and we're kind of just worried about getting to the hospital. And so finally we get a taxi, and we get into the taxi, and we're driving with the taxi, and the taxi almost gets into a three-car accident. But then we finally get to the hospital. And at that time, I do not know Tagalog. And my companion leaves me because she had to go buy medicine for to numb my hand and all of that stuff. Because in the Philippines, you have to buy it before you're able to get operated on. And so we go to the emergency room. My companion leaves me. I'm stuck in the emergency room with my investigator, who speaks very to little no English. And I just remember sitting on the gurney and just being like, well, I might not die, but only in the Philippines. And so what ended up happening is I just sat there. My companion eventually came back, and they cleaned out my hand. She said it looked like an eyeball. And I got there's 3 stitches put into my hand. But even though that, as crazy as that sounds right now, it was probably like the most calming experience for me. And my companion probably thought I was really crazy because the whole time I was talking to her about how we needed to teach Sister Rosita a lesson while we were in the hospital, and that we needed to figure out who else we could teach and who else we could invite to come unto Christ that day. And my companion's like, do you not realize that you're dying, that your like hand is cut open? But for me, I just didn't care that my hand was in a bad condition, but I just really wanted to go out and work. And so that was probably one of the craziest things that happened on my mission, but it was definitely worth it. Came back with the scar, so it was cool.